YouTube Live. So I've been doing this a lot on TikTok, which I find to be an unreliable partner more and more. So I am going to also go live here. About to go on TikTok. And did you see the Super Bowl last night? Polite politics. That's sort of my jam and pop culture. Um, any kind of hostile megabots? No thanks. Not interested. It's hard to be polite when the present occupant of the White House and his administration is not, but I'm going to try my best. So let's see what we can do over here. I haven't been on in a while. Hi, TikTok world. So I'm on TikTok and on YouTube right now, trying this out. I had to take a break because of the toxicity of everything that was going on in light of, you know, Minnesota, the killing of Alex Preddy, the Trump's response, then Don Lemon, and it was just like it was just seemed like too much. It was just so icky, and that TikTok was feeding me more and more kind of mean voices. And I've always tried online to, and my whole thing was always polite politics. So I want to try to be polite when we talk about politics and current events. Although it's a real challenge when the present occupant of the White House is somebody who, and his administration is very much not polite. Downright racist, actually. It's pretty clear about that. But I kind of wanted to hop on here because, yay, SC's here. How are you? I still do my cooking videos on Food Talk Live, and but me too. I am too, and it was sweet because some of my regulars came on there and they're like, "Oh, we miss, it's nice to have you on in the background when we're doing work and so forth." So I'm gonna hop on sometimes as I'm still trying to figure out how to do the YouTube Live, and YouTube Live is not as robust. The algorithm is not as good as TikTok, but also, and the community is so great on TikTok. But the problem is, of course, is since the Ellisons have taken over, it's very clear that there's a different vibe on TikTok. And I just felt like personally, like I don't need it. I don't need that toxicity. So there we go. So if anybody comes in who is kind of bunk, I'm just not going to address them. I used to try to reach middle ground. But if people can't be polite, then what's the point? And I assume most of us saw the halftime show, the Super Bowl halftime show with Bad Bunny. I really enjoyed it. And it's so funny that it would be in any way controversial. I don't think it would be if it wasn't for Trump, because I'm from Southern California. I've only lived either in California, Miami. Juan, hi Juan. So to see his performance, I was like, this is like the backdrop of my life. I mean, this is, California used to be owned by Mexico, and before that Spain. So it seems like it didn't seem like anything to me. I speak Spanish, and my family and I enjoyed it, and we're dancing and happy. Oh, I love that. And you bring up a really great point, Essie, and this is one of the things I was thinking, is that we're such a blended country at this point, that there's so many of us who are like, okay, my cousins and they married Latinas, and or a friend who will be like, oh, I'm half Persian and half Mexican, and everybody has such a mix of things. I never find that offensive. I mean, last year was like Kendrick Lamar. I wasn't going like, well, I'm not African American and I don't understand any of this. It's like, it's always just this great tapestry, and different ethnicities bring great, music and food and culture. And I loved how he took it off the regular stage, because if you look at all the Super Bowl halftimes for the last forever, they're always on a big stage. And this was a different, I think also he could do it since it was California and it was still daylight. But the whole thing with showing, starting in the sugarcane fields, just visually, it was really beautiful. The set was breathtaking. Exactly, SC. I agree. Oh, hi, Val's here. So good to see you, Val. Um, that's what I thought. I just thought it was really pretty. And then I don't know if you noticed the taco truck, the little taco cart is Villa Tacos, and that's Los Angeles. And he had all these great nods to different Latino culture in America. To the lady who he goes and gets a drink from, who's in Williamsburg, Villa Tacos, which is from Los Angeles, and then ending with all of the countries that are in America. I also did a semester abroad in Toronto, and then of course have spent time in Mexico, and of course both of those countries are always like, well, you say America, we're America, which of course they are. So that's great. So Iceman, I'm not really going to be interested in that kind of language. If you want to have a constructive conversation about something that you feel, that's great. But the all cap stuff is, I'm beyond it. I think we're all beyond it. I think Trump and Trump's posse has just worn us out. It's absolutely worn us out. And if Republicans are speaking privately, they say the same thing. They'll be like, well, I was all for sealing the southern border and a tax cut or whatever, but the negativity, the cartoon of the Obamas, it's just vile. It's just vile, and it's just too hard on our central nervous system. So, oh, TikTok user, you know exactly what I mean. The only halftime show that there was. Shopping. Let's see. Shopping. Oh, stopping. Sorry, let me put my Morganism. Stopping by to remind you you're a beautiful human. Have a great day. Oh, thank you, Morganism. You are so kind. You are so sweet. That is so sweet. Um, are you just chatting on opinions? I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, TikTok user, I am not, I don't have the central nervous system to argue with people. I just want to have a nice conversation. I think it's, um, yeah, I feel like TikTok has become far too negative. So I'm not so interested. So we're gonna look at the Bad Bunny halftime show. I mean, let's be honest, the game was boring. I mean, it was gonna be boring for me because the Rams weren't in it, but it was pretty boring. I mean, even my next door neighbor who's a New England fan said, "Ugh, if I wasn't following either of these teams, I'd be pretty bored." And I'm like, well, I wasn't, so I mostly watch the Olympics. I love watching the Olympics, and that is fantastic. Thank you, Rob. You agree with me. Great. So, New York Times had some notes. One of them was saying that, oh my gosh, you didn't see it. Watch it on replay. It's only like 13 minutes, JL. Um, one of they said that the Lady Gaga cameo was unnecessary. I'm like, Lady Gaga, first of all, Lady Gaga is never unnecessary. I mean, she is great. She always has the weather vane for culture and gets it and is fun and exuberant. And I was happy to see her. So, no problem there. And then the other thing that I really loved, of course, was seeing Ricky Martin. And I've talked about this before. I'm a huge George Michael fan. And so sad he's gone. And when I saw Ricky Martin, I kind of was like, oh, it's kind of like, that's as close as we got to George Michael now. And they both had that thing of being just, the press was relentless. Are you gay? Are you gay? Are you gay? When everybody was like, of course they're gay. Leave them alone. Who cares? They're both attractive men. It makes zero difference. Like it was so icky. Just let people be. Whatever. So anyway, it was great to see him. I actually wanted more of him, and thanks to the creators online here who translated what he said, which was basically he was saying like something along the lines of like, we don't want to become like Hawaii, and I have a lot more to say about that. But that was politically significant. You didn't watch the halftime show. Oh, Rob, you should watch it. Ricky Martin looked fine. Yeah, he did, girl. He always does. Your background states what Bad Bunny represents so well. He was really awesome foundation. Yes, I agree. And you know me, how I usually say polite politics, and that's why I did use this one. The only thing, and I can't put it up on YouTube yet because I don't have the software, which I have to get for it, is the only thing more powerful than hate is love, and that's fantastic. Um, no one said any of this when Bruno Mars played. Yeah, and you know why? Because we weren't in Trump 2.0. That's the whole thing. When we had Michael Jackson or Diana Ross or Bruno Mars or any of that, it was not an issue. Americans in general are very cool about our multiculturalism. We enjoy the music, the language, the dance, the fashion. Yes, thank you so much. Do tap the screen. Sorry, I forgot to say that. Tap the screen. Thank you. Tap the screen. The rewards, very helpful to get pushed out there. We all love that. This is the present occupant of the White House is making this kind of stuff. And what we have to do is stop listening to it. We have to stop giving him attention. I have given enough. Last on Thursday, I went to the funeral of one of my best friends from high school, and it really laid me out for a couple days. And I was so sad about her passing. It was from cancer. And I thought so many things like, oh my God, the energy that they have put into terrorizing Minnesota while they cut cancer funding. Like, what if the Trump administration could put that kind of funding into like finding a cure for cancer, even one kind of cancer or something? Be amazing. The whole energy of where this is going is wrong. Or the fact that last year, even when I was struggling with, my mother's passing and my cousin's passing, but still so much of my mental time was taken up being concerned or worried about all the awful things that Trump and his administration do and say. And it's like, I ain't gonna do it anymore. I'm not gonna do it anymore. I'm gonna focus on the real people in my life, the real consequences. I've always done stuff in my community, and that's essentially where our power can lie. And I'm just not gonna give it any more. What do you call it? I'm gonna try to give it less and less energy. And so if you guys pop in and you're negative, just keep going. I'm not interested. His foundation, the Good Bunny Foundation, he gives it back. Oh, is that right? I didn't know that. Honestly, I feel as if the world would have been a lot better if Kamala won. Oh, 100%. I mean, I never thought she was great shakes, but here's the difference. She was an institutionalist. That's the thing is, I was like, well, she's an institutionalist. She knows enough to know to hire like decent people. Whereas the thing with Trump, and it's actually a misnomer to call him a conservative. He's not. He's an anti-liberal. He's an anti-institutionalist. That's why he wants to take down NATO. That's why he wants to take down all these different things. Shorty Ray, you are not welcome here. I am muting you. Thank you very much. I don't know what I just blocked there. We need to start turning the page. Exactly, because we can't wait 3 years. We can't be held hostage for 3 years to this. And his supporters are just as terrible for being enablers. Yeah, I would say especially the ones who really have power, which are the Republicans in the Senate and the Congress. I actually give some money to Thomas Massie because I respect him a lot. And, he supported a lot of Trump's agenda, but he has been outspoken about that, what has been unlawful, and most importantly, about the Epstein files. It's disgusting, all those things in there. Francisco, I'm so proud of Benito and everyone in the production team because really brings so many memories. Oh, that's sweet. Okay, are you from Puerto Rico? I think you're right about the production is great. Trump baby, good for you. Don't be a liberal sheep. Uh, yeah. Well, it's funny because, and then of course I knew this would happen to him. I'm a centrist, and in many respects, there's things I agree with about conservatism, classic conservatism. Uh, Trump has well, but he's pushed me more in line with progressives and liberals because of being so extreme and awful. And where it really comes down to is, I would say I'm an institutionalist. I would rather we got the Constitution, we got NATO, we got these things for a reason. Let's keep them as they are. Sorry, but haters will start wars and lovers won't. It's strange people complain about Bad Bunny but praise Kid Rock. He sings about statutory rape. I don't know anybody who's praised Bad Bunny. Actually, no, that's not true. I saw one girl on Twitter. I am personally off Twitter, but because I'm a social media manager for other companies, I sometimes, through theirs, I don't comment or make anything. I see other people's comments. But it was something along the lines of, Kid Rock, what was it? Kid Rock owns the culture, which is so bizarre. And so if you just figured it was a flip, let's flip it. Let's say NFL, and obviously the NFL is a big company, and they know where the dollars are, so they're the ones that chose Bad Bunny. But let's say they had said, we're gonna have Lee Greenwood, which would be not fun. Do the halftime show. I can imagine that there would be some liberal alternative show somewhere else. So you could see that can happen. And you know what? That's fine. TPUSA, which is getting more and more discredited every day. By the way, Erica Kirk is handling that nonprofit. So that's fine. I don't know if they had country music. I don't know who those other people were, but I like all kinds of music. I like bluegrass and country and everything. But this was an exuberant and I thought touching. And when he gives the Grammy to the little boy, I thought, let me know what you thought. I thought that boy was a stand-in for Liam, for the little boy with the blue hat who was detained. That's how I saw it. I mean, I read something I think it was in the New York Times where they were like, "Oh, that was almost like him giving it to his younger self," and I was like, I think it had more political ramifications. In fact, I saw on Thread some people saying, "Oh, that was the little boy," which of course nonsense. It wasn't the little boy. But um, if if the left, oh, it skips scoops up here. Let me see if I can get back to it. On YouTube, I know there's only a few of you. If you want to say something, please do. If you want to make a comment, as long as it's polite. You're a Thor. You're a centrist. Name one thing you agree with Trump on. Oh, I'll name a few. NATO needs to pay its fair share. Securing the southern border. No so-called gender-affirming care for minors. Getting rid of the penny. I think we're good. Yeah. Otherwise, he is not a. I think I am more of a conservative than Trump is because I really don't like how he has gone into businesses. That is autocrat makes him more of an autocrat uh, than a conservative. Conservatives believe in free trade, and they wouldn't be doing these tariffs. Turn what page? Turn the page of being like, what has Donald Trump said today? Fuck it. Sorry, and I'm sorry I swore, but enough of it. You know what? I disagree with you, Thor. I don't think that's true. 80 to 100 million people support Trump. That's not true. Look at who voted for him. It was about 78, maybe 79 million. And what he got was a lot of independents. So you got to figure, at best, he's got 40% of those people now. He can do anything. He can go on Fifth Avenue, as he says, and unalive somebody. And he will always have 35%. Um, but his support has waned, no doubt about it. 7 more years, no, he's not going to. I feel like once newer generations get into the world, we will progress a lot faster. I don't know because there's a lot of young men who still like Trump, and the Democrats are terrible at messaging. The Democrats are not unified. Chuck Schumer should not be the head of the Senate. He's awful. He's an awful spokesperson. He has the charisma of a slaughtered snail. Uh, uh, Hakeem Jeffries is only maybe 15% better. So it's unfortunate that there's not a really strong opposition. I think that there's people on the bench who would be good. I'd rather they were like, can you get Chris Murphy? Can you get that senator from Connecticut to maybe write his strongly worded letter? It's going to be better than Schumer. Okay, I already answered you, Thor. Bendham. I don't know what that means. Maybe you misspelled. Yeah, Harris was okay with minimum. No, I agree with you, Rob. That was a whole problem and still is a problem with Democrats. I get into fights with Democrats about those issues too. And it was something I said, you're going to lose on this. I don't know who that is. I don't know who Corey Chase is. Kid Rock owns the culture that forces us to now sign for Sudafed at the pharmacy. OSC, that is funny. That is funny. No, and you're right about Kid Rock's lyrics. I just saw Snopes is a great website for bunking and debunking things, and he does have a song where he talks about liking underage women. This Bad Bunny? Nope. Yeah, Kid Rock is irrelevant. I mean, it's Hillbilly Vanelli wasn't very good. Yeah, no kidding. I don't know what source you're asking for. Let them continue. Yeah, exactly. Stop watching. It was his younger self. You think it was his younger self? Yeah. I don't know. I immediately thought of Leon Ramos. If the left wouldn't be this is where you said Texas Patriot. If the left wouldn't be so hateful for people who don't agree with them, then there would be more love. You have a good point. I mean, and that's one of the reasons why I started this, to be polite politics and to be to try to have a more measured conversation as an antidote to Trumpism. So I understand what you're saying, and I've seen that too, but that's not what I try to do. Oh, Megan, you saying you thought it was Liam? I thought I was in enemy territory for a second. Oh, gosh, I don't know what that means. I hope nobody feels like they're in enemy territory with me. That's not what I want. Now translate the words from his music. You know what? I don't need it. You know, my folks with their LPs in the 60s, they had a lot of, there was a lot of Spanish language entertainers. It was like nothing. Or remember Harry Belafonte, and he would do his calypso. Like that's like not a new thing to listen to music in other languages. Hello, opera. That's again, it's Trump pointing that out, like as if that's somehow some big deal. I just want to see and make sure I get it all up to here. Yes. Trump is like one of those candy circus peanuts, oranges, and soft, and no one likes them. Yeah, but somehow they keep getting sold. Somehow they keep getting made. There's nothing more hateful than the left. They tried to blank our president. Well, first off, no. That is quite a controversy. Why do we know so little about the guy who tried to shoot Donald Trump? Who did unfortunately take out a man who was behind Trump. We know very little about him. Very strange. Very strange. We know so much more about him. And I think that I would give some air to the conspiracy that it was set up, that it was not, or somehow he was. I don't know. There's going to be another story about that. Rob, why are liberal women so angry? Well, I would be angry too. If to have the president of the United States speak to Caitlin Collins, who is a very brave, very strong female reporter for CNN. Why don't you smile? Why don't you smile? Do you know how much through every female's life she has been told at some point by a man, "Why don't you give me a smile?" Yeah, because we're not your ornamental woman. That enrages me. Absolutely enrages me. People cling to the trans controversy, which is tiny, ignore the Epstein files. Well, I do think the youthful transition is medical malpractice. Beverly, thank you so much. Oh, you're so kind. I really appreciate the rewards. Thank you so much. I do think it was medical malpractice, and it really took advantage of some confused kids who needed mental health, especially coming out of the, what do you call it, pandemic. But I agree with you that the Epstein files are huge, and it's pretty weird how it's disgusting how many rich and powerful people went along with this and just continued to think he was just such a great guy. And there's still more to come out. Beverly, thank you. I so appreciate that kindness and that support. You're very, very kind. You don't agree that the Epstein files are huge, otherwise you would not be promoting Bad Bunny. I'm so sorry, HBG. I don't understand that connection. I don't see how you can think that. I think that if anything about why didn't he make a sign in Spanish? Smiles while questioning about child rape. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and as Bill Maher goes, well, she always smiles when she's on my show. Dog lover, thank you so much. You're so kind. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Uh, yeah, I think she's amazing. If I got yelled at one time by him in the Oval Office, I'd be like, I'm not going back there. That was mean. He was mean. So, so HBGA, we have to speak politely to each other in this room, or we you know, what's the point? Yeah, Trump is named in the files. Only second only to Epstein. Thank you, Beverly. Thank you for the roses. Sincerely appreciate it. Very, very much. He had to make his point and sing in Spanish, so why was the sign in English? Why do you think it was? What do you think that was? I mean, and think about it came in at the end after he named and showed the flags of all the countries that are on the continent of America. So to me, it was the denouement. It was the message that he wanted everyone to leave with. And I wanted to get back to the Hawaii thing because, well, they said, oh, we don't want to be like Hawaii. I always hold up Hawaii as like how I wish the continental U.S. was. Because while, you know, we, America, conquered Hawaii, we did not. Oh, thank you, Nina Sophia. Thank you so much. Uh, we didn't commit genocide in Hawaii the way we did on the continental US, the way we did with the Native Americans. And one of the things that's fun when you go to Hawaii is you do get a little bit of the aloha spirit, and you get a little bit of the vibe of the island culture. Can you imagine how great it would have been if we hadn't had, particularly, what was the really awful ones, Polk, and before him Jackson, who defied the Supreme Court, and committed genocide against Native Americans and moved them, like the Cherokees, off the land in Georgia. Even when the Supreme Court said you don't have a right to move them, they're their own nation, they have a treaty. And Jackson went, so, and he just did it. So an awful, cruel president. It's not new. It's not new. Dean, thank you for writing in from the UK. We're talking about the Super Bowl and political commentary, but we tried to do it politely here. So that's what we're talking about. If you have a comment, and love to hear from your perspective in the UK. Are you enjoying the Olympics? Excuse me. So the thing is about Hawaii is at least there is still part of that culture, and obviously in Puerto Rico still has its own culture, which is great. I wish that obviously things had been different for the Native Americans had not been um, that the Native Americans had not been decimated. Excuse me, not decimated. That's the wrong word. Everybody uses that word. Decimated means 10% was taken. Far more than 10% was devastated. They were devastated. They were wiped out. Not only for the human cost, but we'd be a richer culture right now with that. I mean, I remember, remember when I went up to a wedding in way, way, way up northern Michigan, and I looked around and I was like, it's so white here. Oh, it's kind of weird. Okay, so let's see. We got some more comments coming in. Okay. We already talked about the sign. Evelyn, hi, good to see you. Everyone in Europe knows at least 2 to 3 languages. I know, yes. My fiance is from Italy. He knows 5. Why are only the blue cities on fire? Well, they're not on fire. I'm in a blue city right now. We are most definitely not on fire. But of course, Trump has been targeting. I mean, the fact that after Minnesota, he's like, and now I'm going to Maine. Maine? There's probably like 5 illegal immigrants in Maine. Not exactly the worst of the worst. Lori, so good to see you. I can talk about your politics, but not mine. Oh, that's so funny. That's okay. You can talk about ours. But you know what? I'll give you credit, Dean, from the UK, you guys. At least you have held a consequence in terms of the Epstein files. The ambassador, what the heck is his name? What's his name, Dean? The one that just had to resign. Not only did the ambassador who was in the Epstein files resign, the chief of staff under Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who's the one who said, let's hire him, he resigned. So in the UK, they're having more accountability for the Epstein files than we are right now in the United States, even though it's our problem. You can't keep what you can't protect. Yeah, well, you can't keep if people don't respect the treaties. We did commit blank in Hawaii. All of those people had their houses burned down for Oprah. Okay. I don't think so. Trail of Tears. Thank you. Exactly. Trail of Tears, Bended Knee, all of that. Yep. There's no one who takes Spanish in school, or they're too blank to remember what they learned. Well, my kids took Spanish. I took French. I've subsequently tried to pick up some Spanish, and having owned restaurants, you got to at least know kitchen Spanish and so forth. But I'm never like, we're in a Boy Scout troop where we are almost the only non-Koreans in the Boy Scout troop. It's all Koreans, us. I think there's one Chinese American family and one Mongolian American family. So we half the parent meeting, I'm kind of sitting waiting. Okay, when you guys stop talking, are we talking English out? It's just, I mean, sometimes it's annoying, but big deal. Jesus is literally love. Oh, and you know what? Let's talk about I'm glad you brought that up. Because did you guys see, what did you think of the commercials? I thought the commercials weren't in general as fabulous as sometimes they can be. I liked the one that had all the celebrities in it, like the 90s celebrities. It was Jennifer Aniston and Ted Danson. I thought that was fun. But I also want to give a shout out to the Christian one, which is basically saying, like, stop looking outside of yourself. Stop trying to be stimulated by other things. I think the tagline was something he knows. And I don't think you have to be a Christian to appreciate that or to take in the message that, you know, to not look for gratification outside yourself, to maybe get off the devices sometime, to to whether it's to be still in nature or to be with whatever higher power you connect with. I thought that one was sweet. Um, in black neighborhoods, you can't join your kids' PTA if you don't speak Spanish. Well, I know that that is an issue. And so that's the thing where, listen, multiculturalism means you got a lot of good food, but yes, there can be friction. Listen, I get frustrated sometimes when they're only talking Korean in my troop. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I live in a historically black neighborhood, and I know that the people who went to our local high school did not send, my age, didn't send their kids to that high school because they did feel like I'm going to be outnumbered. It's not like it's all roses and rainbows. I get that. There is, Chex Mix is here. Yeah, Chex Mix, you're part of the reason I'm here, so I'm glad to see her. Um, I'm also on YouTube and I'm trying to see the comments go away. That's a big, dangerous list of people on those files with history and what we learn in general as children. It apparently, this is a problem with YouTube. This is why I have to get an app for YouTube. It apparently only takes 3 generations to change everything learned. It just perpetuates. Oh, she's not seen our comments. You know, you were right. It's hard to see. This is, thanks for your great energy. Oh, you're so sweet. I can speak Southern, Mid, and Northern English. Does that count as 3 languages? To me, it does. I don't know about you guys, but when I watch an English show, I have to put on the subtitles. Uh, so thank you for that, Dean. I really appreciate that. Woohoo. Okay. Um, you can't be involved in your kid's school at all. Well, I don't know about your personal experience, but I do know that uh, there is a different, different ethnic groups have a different relationship with schools and how they interact. And I know the white folk are usually really like, let me get in there, let me do all this stuff, you know. And I think sometimes you just gotta be okay pushing in, whether you feel like you are wanted or not. Where did you get your glasses? I hate to tell you, I got them from a place I can no longer buy from, the Big A, which I unsubscribed from, and I'm very happy about it. I've rediscovered my radio. I've rediscovered physical books. Please, please, if you don't like the present administration and you want big tech to stop licking his you know what and to say something, unsubscribe from Amazon, as I have. But I bet you know you can also use Amazon as a search engine and then find the company that's and then just buy direct from them. Teachers blank about having to work too hard to deal with non-English speaking students. I know teachers. I've never heard any of them say that. So okay, how you two have a great day, Rob. Freedom of speech. We can speak what language you want. The commercials were kind of boring this year. Yeah, they weren't as fun as they usually are. I agree. Andrew Jackson headed up the Trail of Tears. Yeah, I know. Isn't that ironic, Rose? I mean, not ironic. I know when Trump actually. First of all, I think he's really. I think Trump is not a smart man, and that he doesn't really know history. He certainly doesn't know the Constitution. So I'm like, oh, how did Andrew Jackson get through on his non-historic brain? But sadly, it did. Trump is not targeting. He's trying to get the illegals to get the hell out of our country. Yeah, I don't agree with that statement. Um, our country is made of immigrants. I mean, were you born here? I mean, was your like, are you Native American? Because if not, I mean, my family's been here hundreds and hundreds of years, but I can tell you where every line came from: Scotland, Ireland, France. You know, so I'm not really sure about that. But I also just think, do you want to live like that? Because I don't want to live like that. It just seems so mean. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna give my. I don't know. I'm not with the Billie Eilish. We're on stolen land. It's not that it's stolen land. It's that things evolve, just the way culture evolves, and you know, you aren't going to. I mean, so what you're saying? I mean, are you a white supremacist? Is that what you want? Is you just want all white people? So I could stay because even though I come from immigrants, my immigrants were Western European. So then that would be okay. Is that what you mean? There are more than just Hispanic immigrants. He seems okay with the rest of them. He's targeting. Well, I'm not so sure. I've heard in San Diego actually there were some Europeans that were detained, and they have their quota. And this comes from President Miller. Stephen Miller is the real uh, power behind this, and Stephen Miller has been gaining more and more power since Trump is obviously cognitively more impaired than he used to be. So he's the one who's into the quotas, and that was one of the things that I thought, well, maybe that would be a relief if Tom Homan comes into the scene as opposed to Kristi Noem, because Tom Homan was doing immigration with Obama, and it was less coarse, less violent. They weren't having the masks and so forth. You actually do go and target, jails. You do more interdiction at the border, less in the interior. So there is a different way to handle this. Pat Bundy was wearing devil horns on Friday. Look at his head. I didn't see that. Evelyn, fix the immigration system. It's broken and delayed, but immigrants are great for our country. They are great for our country. And if you kick these people out, whoever these people are, that's a pretty broad brush. These people also not only do they work hard, but they spend money. They actually contribute, and they are contributing to shoring up our Social Security. Our Social Security is going to go bankrupt because they are not able to even access most of it. He's targeting Haitians too. Very good point, SC. He's targeting all non-white presenting. Yes. Strong message on the board. We all are America. I am with you, Victor. We want our schools back. Beautiful on the outside. Well, why don't you blame the white people for leaving the public schools? I'm one of the few I know who stayed. So that's a big difference. And as the more I understand the feeling of I want to be around people who are similar to me. I'm not going to say that's not an issue because I think it's wrong if you just say, "Oh, you're a bigot if this bothers you." No, no, no. There's real assimilation issues, which is one of the reasons I thought Biden was making a huge mistake. And we made a few big mistakes, huge mistake when he let in so many large numbers of asylum seekers and opened the borders so broadly because it's just too hard for uh, municipalities and so forth to absorb that many new people. Metallica for Super Bowl 61. I love Metallica. I was a metalhead. I used to have a mullet. So in the 80s I had a mullet and I went to a lot of metal shows, so I'd be down with that. Most blacks wish you guys would let ICE do their job. I don't know if I would. I can't agree with the veracity of that comment, but I know that there are racism is not only from white to other ways. I've encountered that in my neighborhood as well. My son quit the Metallica summer tour because Lars kept blowing cigar smoke in his face. William Tell, wow! Hi, William Tell. That's some interesting intel. That's not nice. That is not nice at all. I just read Alex Van Halen's memoir about his brother Eddie Van Halen. I really enjoyed it. I love a good rock and roll memoir. It's like my favorite thing to read. They were all unvetted. They weren't all unvetted. Not the asylum seekers necessarily. Who watched the White Show? Evelyn, you're funny. LOL. Never in the history of SBS had we an alternative show. Yeah, and again, that is Trump driven. And TPUSA has decided to, unfortunately, it's gotten worse since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and they've just gobbling up. They're we've seen from a lot of those leaked videos and so forth. I never thought I would say I pop in on Candace Owens' podcast, but I kind of do now. They're kind of fun. If her stuff, it's a little bit like when you watch it, like, well, I wasn't going to say it, but if you're going to say it, you're not that bad. You try to understand. Thank you. I was born in California, says Ruby, yet people feel justified in profiling me by skin color. Well, I don't know who does that, and that, of course, that's wrong any way around. These people do the jobs that most others won't do. You're absolutely right. I agree with you. And as I've said before, when I owned restaurants and we put out a help wanted sign, uh, we certainly did not discriminate, but there was no native born that ever came and said, "Yeah, I'll wash your dishes. Yeah, I'll wash your tables." They'd be like, "I'll be a bartender," but they they spend tax money. I don't know. Well, they economically, statistically, they actually put more in than they take out. But again, this was part of the problem with Biden letting so many people in a short amount of time. But let's remember, let's not get too deviated from, we're talking about Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny is an American. Puerto Rico is America. There are there are millions of native born Hispanic, Latino, Latinas in our country. So let's get with the program here. I'm in California, of the nation of Mexico, formerly from Spain. Of course, we in this state and other border states have a rich history of Latino culture. It's not foreign to us. It's part of what it is. We know, ooh, tamales at Christmas time. It becomes part of our tapestry of experience. Oh, Dila, total agree with you. Thank you. Yes, helps the economy. Legal immigrants are good. Yeah, and it's very hard to be a legal immigrant. I mean, I know people who have tried and they give up. Um, is the poster in the back referencing Republicans? The poster in the back, the only thing more powerful than hate is love, is what was put on at the end of the Bad Bunny number. And I think it's a good sentiment, and it's something that I try to foster here, which is to try to be positive. Hello, I'm Puerto Rican American, and I did not understand the halftime special. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what you need to understand. It was people jumping around and dancing. I understood it a lot more than the Paris opening Olympics. By the way, I'm obsessed with the Olympics. It's my new job, watching the Olympics. Um, I was shocked and embarrassed to realize how many people don't know Puerto Rico is part of the U.S. That is shocking. And that shows you a lot about the state of civics education. He needs subtitles for those of us who speak Spanish? Huh, I don't know about that. Bad Bunny is what I like to call a Southern Creole Spanish speaker. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's lots of different dialects. I know in Italian there certainly is. They are a territory and can't vote. They're always at the conventions though. And why are they still a territory? Why wouldn't they have become a state? Puerto Ricans living on the island don't pay federal taxes. Well, they get a crap energy system, so maybe they shouldn't. You watch The Turning Point. Why? That is so, like, what is that about that? Is that just, are you a racist? Are you just a white supremacist? We are a commonwealth, not a territory. We do pay federal. Thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Trump supporter, but that Bud Bunny performance was fire. Yay, Radio Spencer. This is my friend Spencer. Please check out. He does great content. We used to work together in radio. Uh, Good for you, Frisbo. See, that's what I think. This is what I think is, we don't have to politicize culture. Trump is politicizing culture. It's the same way I would like some oaky cracker music. I like all music. I like macaroni and cheese, and I like an enchilada. I mean, this is so stupid. This is a Trump thing that we just need to not respond to, and in general, we just need to respond to him less. Oh, there we go. Hang on, we're gonna get a special guest appearance. Spencer Hughes, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, my friend? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. I've been doing this less because I felt like TikTok had gotten so negative, but I wanted to come on.
No, I appreciate it. When I saw this, I had to come on because, as you know, I used to be a right-wing wacko Christian nationalist in a previous lifetime,
Yes.
and very publicly so on the radio. And I put out a lot of the sentiment that we're hearing. Not, I was, you know me, I was never.
No, and just remember, just so you, because I always try to say we need to be polite to all sides.
Yeah.
You and I were still friends, even though I was a lefty and you were a righty. Remember?
That's right. We got along great. And
Yes.
I'm sorry for all the stuff I used to believe.
No, you were fine. You were fine. I admired your guts at the time. But you were going to say, so you used to say things like this.
I did, and one of the things I'm getting from this, and I woke up with a bunch of videos I put up regarding Kid Rock and stuff, and I had to do a double take because I feel sometimes we're living in the Matrix and everything's a Mandela effect, and like, did I really live this back in the '90s and 2000s? And so I looked back and I quick little research on the internet. It took me 30 seconds to find that for those maybe younger MAGA who might be tuned in, people who haven't been around on this as long as I've been around, you may not know this, but I'm old enough to remember when conservatives reviled Kid Rock. Do you remember there was a story that
Yeah,
George W. canceled Kid Rock for his inauguration
I
performance to be
do.
one of his
Good
performers because
reminder. Thank you.
his lyrics were so vile and sickening that George W. distanced himself and wouldn't have him at his inauguration. And look, all these
Good
years
point.
later, we've got him as the poster. How did this guy become the poster child for the right wing when everything, presumably, he's about? I made a joke earlier that, oh, just joking, tongue in cheek, that no wonder the president likes him. They have a lot in common: criminal background, the way they feel about certain groups in America, the words that come out of their mouths. Like all this stuff
Yeah.
in common. But
The crass, it's the, see, because this is the difference. It's crass. So when you had Reagan, H.W., Bob Dole, George W., I maybe not, I may have disagreed with them politically, but they were gentlemen. They weren't crass. Trump is crass. That's the
yeah, it's
difference.
just lowest. I hate to say it this way, and I hope it's not falling outside the play politics here, but so much of it is just lowest common denominator. That show, you have to really twist yourself in a pretzel to say that the Kid Rock performance was somehow good. It was the worst thing I think I've ever seen in my life.
Oh,
I've
I
seen some
didn't
pretty
see
bad
it.
things,
I don't even
but
know
it was
where did you
horrible.
even see it? I don't even know where you would see it.
I didn't see video clips and stuff. It's on the
Okay.
internet if you search for it, but
Okay.
it's so embarrassing you can't even watch the whole thing. And it even looks like he's lip syncing because he like steps away from the mic and he's still singing. So no surprise there. But at first I thought it was Dr. Phil doing a Kid Rock impersonation
Oh, that's funny.
because I think Kid Rock looks more like Dr. Phil than Dr. Phil looks like Dr. Phil.
Yeah, he's kind of the
Anyone else observe
mustache
that?
is sort of morphing.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I
and
just
he
want
just
I
always seemed
want
like a dirty bird to me. Yeah.
yeah I just want like I want to remind, and I think some of the more middle of the road moderate Republicans, and there still are some of those, thank goodness, will remember those days along with me if they're old enough. But it wasn't that long ago that Kid Rock was the opposite of what the Republican Party stood for. They never would have been caught unalived in this guy's presence, let alone heralding him as some kind of a right wing figure. But that's what it's become. I mean,
No,
it
no,
used to
I
be the
think you bring up a
Republican.
really good point, and this is why I think it's not about culture. It's not about the color of our skin. It's about a coarseness. And this is why I always say when people said, "Well, why wouldn't you vote for Trump?" I said, number one, the way he speaks. I don't even have to go beyond that. I don't want my children to hear that kind of language. I don't want them to hear that sort of disparaging meanness. And it infiltrates into all of his policies and all of his actions.
Yeah, it really does. And it's so amazing just how the party allowed itself. I don't know.
It
It's
is.
an
Because they
interesting
wanted
thing
to
to
win.
analyze.
Because they wanted to win.
Yeah, I was going to say how they let themselves get controlled by this. And I don't know if there's any shaking it off now. I really don't. I wonder if it's kind of
Well,
like
I
the
think
disease is in there and
two
they can't
things.
eradicate it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
two things. One, I think at the crossroads between Mitt Romney and Obama, if I had a time machine, I'd say, you guys, let's all vote for Mitt Romney, because I feel like the Republicans were like, okay, we sent you nice, decent men, and you all trashed them, so we're going to go with the clown show over here. So there is a problem sometimes if the left goes too far one way or so forth. That is an issue, I think. Although it would have seemed hard at the time, but I'd be like dancing a jig right now if we had President Mitt Romney, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it would
Yeah,
be.
isn't that crazy to think so? I mean, even like you said, George W. like looks like looks like Eisenhower, compared to what we have now. I mean, it's scary to think that. Even I'll go even further. I remember, I'm old enough to remember Dan Quayle, and I would do anything to have Dan Quayle
Oh
as
my
vice
God, we
president
got
right
mad at him
now.
because he misspelled potato.
Yeah, for people that don't know, he misspelled potato. That was the biggest controversy. Well, not the biggest, but it was one of the biggest things that he was known
People
for
were
was
so mean to
misspelling
him.
potato. Can you believe that? And now we got JD Vance and the couch and all this stuff, and just how ridiculous he is. And I would do anything for the days of Dan Quayle as vice
Oh my
president.
God, it makes
I mean,
Sarah
what is that saying?
nostalgic for Sarah Palin. The thing about, but I was going to say is that I think when there hopefully there will be elections in 2028. I don't think anybody from the Trump administration is going to be the Republican candidate. I think you're going to get somebody, whether it's a DeSantis or somebody like that, because they're going to have to get a little stink off them. They're going to be like, I'm not a liberal, but let's move away from that. That's what I
Yeah,
think.
I think so. And I'll leave you with this idea too, because I've been getting a lot of hateful posts and DMs saying, why don't they just speak English? Why don't they do it? I hate that because I'm Hispanic myself, and I grew up in a household where I learned Spanish and English.
And again, that's the thing is you never know. I mean, we're so multicultural now. You don't even know who's
Yeah.
part what. Yeah.
No, absolutely. But the thing that drives me nuts is people are saying like, at least we could understand what they were saying. Well, that's debatable with Kid Rock. I didn't understand half the words coming out of his mouth. But what's interesting is being bilingual, by all accounts of psychologists and stuff and neurologists, is a sign of high cognitive function when you're bilingual. So maybe a lot
Totally.
of, and again, I say this with love in my heart and a little bit of tongue in cheek, but maybe the MAGA people that are all like, speak English, maybe they ought to pick up Duolingo. And if they're so offended by Spanish, maybe a European language or something, or maybe they can learn French or Italian. But it will help your cognitive functions. It'll make you smarter the more languages
Listen,
you learn.
it
So
is
just a
tough.
little hint.
It is. I'm trying to learn a language right now. It is tough. It is absolutely is. Well, thank you so much, Spencer. And you
Thank
guys
you
check.
so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you for coming on. You sound so good. I love
thank
you.
you.
And check out Spencer's
Thanks so much.
channel. And he's unlike me. He's on a lot. He goes on a lot. So I see there were a lot of good comments coming in. And yes, Spencer and I worked together at KGO Radio in San Francisco. Okay, let's see here. I am a Latina indigenous and I will not listen to the evil music. Okay, well, that's up to you. Biden couldn't find his way from the law to the White House. I think you mean the lawn. Dems used to not like Arnold Schwarzenegger until they did so. Well, again, I think it's because, I mean, he was a moderate. He was very, very moderate. God, I wish he was running for governor right now. We've kind of not a great not a great field to pull from. Biden couldn't find his way off the stage. Feel like the left backlash Trump's. Wait, I want to get you right, Frisbo, what you're saying here. Feel like the left backlash Trump supporters so hard that divide is now real. There is really a divide, and I'm sorry for that. Those of us who have lived in red states know, guys, many Americans love Trump because he's their something. Yes, I know that's true. And okay, let's get back to like Billie Eilish's dumb comment about nobody's illegal on stolen land. Look, I think I got that she wanted to say something about what was going on with ICE in Minnesota, and I agree with that. I was like, yeah, that was not the statement. That was a bumper sticker. And as everybody says, oh, you're gonna let people into your $14 million home, Billie Eilish? My son and his friends, who are definitely left leaning, were howling over that comment. They thought it was so dumb. And that's the kind of stuff that the left does that people just go, ugh. It's kind of a forehead slap, like, oh God, you guys are kind of so dumb when we say stuff like that. So it'd be nice if we were a tad more thoughtful in the critique. I love Trump. Oh God, I guess I must know fake men then. Nice, decent men in politics for decades on the take. Yeah, I mean, men and women, sure. Best part of the day was the flyover. So you want your kids to be passive sissies. Oh, right, because I don't want them to be cruel and mean. Yeah, no, I think most parents want their kids to be fair and polite and to judge people by the content of their character. That's how my parents raised me. So, hi, yes, sir. Come on in. I did vote for the best part about that message is there's more love in MAGA than the Dems. Love for who? If you're white? 100% in third grader speech. Yeah, but she will. Listen, total agree with you. Like the decades-long Republicans that ruined this country, two wings, one word. So she will let them listen to Bad Bunny. Well, my kids are old enough, I couldn't really monitor their what they listen to right now. But they really enjoyed the exuberance. They liked the production value. They thought it was neat that it wasn't on a stage. My daughter liked Kendrick Lamar last year better. She thought she was more entertained by that. I think you're trying that somehow supposed to be a swipe to me, and I'm wondering if you haven't figured out the difference between a private person, an entertainer, and the President of the United States. Because last time I checked, the President of the United States is supposed to be held to a higher standard. And we have somebody who's at such a low standard. If you had an employee, you had somebody who worked in your loading dock, who consistently went on social media or spoke to his colleagues the way Trump does, you would fire him. He would not be able to stay employed. So I don't think your little snappy remarks quite as cute as you think it is. Sure, Frisbo, the show was about a message of unity regardless of the actual performance. Biden said he didn't want to send his kids to a school. I don't know anything about that. But you know what? Biden is gone, and I wasn't going to vote for him anyway. Bad Bunny's set was off the chart. Love for their leader only, not even, I don't know what that means. Odulia, you agree with me. Thank you. So why do Democrats have so much hate? I don't know if I agree with that premise, but because we're angry. We're really angry because our Constitution is being trashed. That's why. Bad Bunny wants an independent Puerto Rico, so why would he want to perform here? I don't know about that. No such thing as stolen land. Yeah, I think it was it was not a good statement. I don't believe Obama was a divider at all. I think he was a class act. Fire him. You just described our boss. Well, I'm sorry that you could make an issue with a hostile work environment then. I am suing the NFL. I almost broke my hip dancing to Bad Bunny. Very cute, Yogi. Very funny. Yeah, I love Obama. Yeah. Better question, why do Trump supporters hate everyone else? Yeah, what part of the Constitution is being broken? Oh my goodness. First of all, the Congress is pretty much handed over. The executive branch is, Congress holds the purse strings, okay? Congress is the one who is supposed to say where the money goes. And the executive branch is spending money. And also, what about the Emoluments Act? He is enriching himself, he and his family. I see your live fast time is lovely. I subscribe to you. Oh, thank you, yes, sir. I really appreciate that. So there's that right there. And the fact that the DOJ is now just this arm of the executive, which it never had been before. And that's an issue the Democrats should really be running on. Pelosi's enriched herself. Listen, I agree, Rox. I think that all members of Congress and the Senate, regardless of party, should have to put their money in a blind trust. Jimmy Carter had to sell his peanut farm. I don't think this is that is not an issue of just Republicans. It's Democrats too. Olivia, totally agree with you about Constitution. Thank you so much. How do you think the Democrats want to trash it? You know, I think it's also really good to remind that when I'm pointing out the huge problems with Trump, I am not then saying, and the Democrats are perfect, because they most certainly are not. And I do worry, and obviously Trump would not have been elected if the Democrats had had their act more together. I think Ken Martin, who runs the DNC, is a big dumb dodo. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries have the charisma of a snail. They don't even have a good TikTok account, you know. And I know that young, hip, fun people went to them and were like, "Hey, you know, we could do your TikTok account for the Democrats," and they were like, "Nah, we don't spend the money." You know, I mean, the Trump campaign was much better at reaching people where they are, where the Democrats were still going, "Let's go knock on doors in Arizona," instead of going on Joe Rogan. So anyway, okay, well listen, you guys, this has been great. I've been on for about an hour, and that's pretty much about enough for me. So I am trying to be here. Oh wait, what is this? I live in New York. Nobody likes Schumer, and every year he's back. You know what I think it is, Rocks? Because I have the same problem where I am. Yay, Chex Mix, thank you so much. I have the same problem where I am in California. There's a Democratic clique in this town, um, and you have to be the right Democrat because I've had friends who are Democrats who run, and they're like, not in the clique. They get into other organizations, big organizations, unions, and so forth, keep voting for the incumbent because the incumbent says, "Hey, and when you that bill that comes up that I will take care of that." And that's why I think they need term limits. So I share with you, Rox, that frustration. I have it as well. And I think it's in a problem of the power of incumbency. It's really, really hard to defeat them. I think that even if Chuck Schumer is still the Senate, though, the Democrats, I know that they run on seniority, they need to depose him because it hurts the Democrats. They have other people in that bench that have a lot more charisma and better communications. Well, the problem is that they get these voting blocks. The problem is, Rox, is that so few people vote. Is that's why when politicians are running, they go to the local 457 whatever because or unions or big groups because they know that they will get that group of people to vote for them. And most people won't vote. Hey, Katie, good to see you. So that's the problem. That's the problem there. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much, and thank you for my now 0 YouTubers. And this is the problem with trying to do lives on YouTube because I've been trying to. I don't think TikTok is such a great safe place for free speech anymore. So please also look at me. I'm on coolmom.com. It spells out cool mom dot because I was one of my claim to fame. I was the first ever comedic mom vlogger. This is why we need more than two-party system. That would work. I don't know if that would make a difference though, because then the vote would just be divided. I think you could do rank voting. I think that's pretty interesting. You get some more fair results with rank voting. I think that's something to look at. Only thing more powerful than hate is love, or how about Jesus? But he don't support that. Who doesn't support Jesus? I didn't see any anti-Jesus sentiment. So anyway, coolmom.com. Mailing votes fine. I always mail in now. I don't want to leave my house if I don't have to. How do I pin? Oh, I can't do it. I don't know if somebody can pin coolmom.com on YouTube, but please give me a follow there. Thank you so much for joining today. Really appreciate it. And be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Term limits are where it's at, and we need them. Oh, I know. And Chex Mix, do you have any federal government gossip for us? Let us know what's happening. That's how they cheat. As I've seen with so many more files coming out, is your opinion changing? Because I feel like that's just more of a S show, if you know what I mean. Anyway, Rox, I don't think that statistically is proven. If anything, I would say, having lived through Trump versus Gore, and that was paper ballots, and that was super unfair. Al Gore, that was Supreme Court that stepped in, but Al Gore should have probably been the president, and there'd be a lot more people alive now if he had. But anyway, thank you for your opinion. I very much appreciate it. Very much appreciate everybody's opinion, and take care of yourself, you guys. Bye-bye. Thank you, YouTube. It's a harder lift here on YouTube.